All right, we are live. Something really funny happened right now, but it's okay. We'll go ahead. I just closed my window, everything froze, but it's okay. We are back. Okay, X20, F10. I'm really loving this new thing where I have shout out to Jack Hopkins. What I've been starting to do is every single morning. I think we were also just end of the summer. Like this is the end of the summer. So what I'm starting to do is, before starting work, I am going out, taking in the sun, taking in the sun's radiance, and using that energy to bring back into the stream. Also going out, writing some stuff. It's very interesting. Like once you know what is working and what you need to do, you stop writing. Like now I don't even have to write anything. I just have to like say myself the same thing that hey, keep the momentum going, keep the cycle going. The cycle is something that we know now. What is the cycle? You come over here, you stream, you find the most interesting thing, you're building this machine, you're pushing the limits of Comet, you're pushing the limits of agentic browser, and then you're feeding that. You go out, you just go out and you then get IRL experiences. You are talking to random people, you are creating serendipity, a lot of serendipity, and then you bring that energy back into the stream, those ideas, those energy back into the stream, and then you learn something new. So this cycle has to keep going now, and this is it. Like now, earlier I used to write a lot, and that writing kind of helped me think, but you kind of know that you're not taking any action. But now the goal is that hey, keep the cycle going. So when I go out for a coffee shop or to a coffee shop and I'm like, okay, maybe I should journal, I don't know what to journal because I pretty much know what to do. And now it feels waste of time that hey, you know what you need to do, so just go get it done. All right. Also, one interesting thing that I've started thinking about is just like how this has become a machine. So yesterday we added one more, we are running this one more experiment where it's like, okay, look at the entire transcript. I think we want to play more with the transcript idea because also YouTube has to be really good at capturing the weird names that I'm saying. Like if I'm talking basic English, YouTube is pretty smart. The AI is pretty smart. It can get everything. But when I say a company name like Reflect Orbital, YouTube has never heard that name before. So and YouTube doesn't know if I'm speaking English, if I'm speaking a name, it doesn't know what reflect orbital means. So I think that's where we need to also make sure that YouTube is capturing the right stuff. But anyways, the new experiment that we are running is adding all the companies that I have mentioned in the YouTube description. So what we are doing is now making our entire live stream more scannable, more just SEO friendly. Because YouTube's algorithm cannot quickly capture the video content. It needs everything in written. So this is the reason why we started timestamps. Timestamps are pretty cool now. We need to make sure, I think timestamps need some work with adding more taste because right now we're relying too much on perplexity. But again, the goal is to not waste our time. If agentic browser can do pretty much 80% of the stuff at 80% of the level and really fast, we want to leverage that. This is how exactly you need to think, right? Because we want to keep going to the next level of the problem, and maybe we can add more taste and maybe it will get better, and maybe we will use some time to keep going back and quickly add the finer details and improve the taste, add our taste over there. But right now the goal is to keep building this machine, because what is happening is this is becoming a very recursive thing that we are let's say with timestamps, with this company mention thing, with YouTube titles, with the research that is happening during the stream. What is happening now is that as our basic agents, some of these agentic use cases are, we know that this is becoming a nice habit. Now we can think bigger, and now this is becoming an entire cycle where the earlier agents that we build are becoming more mature, and then that is forcing us to think about bigger problems. And so what is happening is, and the bigger problems, then we start using agents over there and they become mature. So constantly the mature stack of agents is growing, and that is forcing us to think out bigger and bigger problems. And this is beautiful. I think we are now making a monster. We are starting to make a machine. We are starting to make a monster, where earlier we did a bunch of research, we were not doing any automation, but now a lot of this automation is stacking, which is forcing us to automate all this stuff and then keep focusing on bigger and bigger problems. So I'm excited. We want to keep. So some of the stuff is written over here, like what are the main things that I need to do. So number one is just push the limits of perplexity, Comet. Start your research with X20 F10. Um, Generate timestamps and video summary. Video summary is something that I'm not doing right now, but interesting. Generate timestamps. Companies mentioned in the stream, so that is something we are doing. Tweet about a high signal post. So this is something that we did yesterday, where as we are reading about it, as we are reading something interesting, as we come across a high signal post, and we have an idea that, okay, I think this is a very interesting thing to tweet, we are right there and then feeding some stuff to Perplexity. We're like, okay, craft this thing, and generate in my taste and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then we tweet right away. So this is how we are kind of entering the conversation, the high signal conversations that are happening on Twitter. And that is going to make our feed better. That is going to make our network better. Also, one more thing that I was thinking about is the entire, is X20 generated? Yes, it's generated. Okay. One other thing I was thinking about right now is just the fact that we met one of our friends at Farcaster, and he was like, Prashant, I see you mainly posting. I don't see you replying, and replying is where conversations are made. But again, it's weird. Like, what do you even reply? If somebody's winning, I love to reply, congrats. Hey, congrats. Amazing work. We want to make sure that people are constantly working towards that one moment where they are the hero and they are shining. And we want to make sure that we congratulate them, because that feeling is going to go down really soon. And we want to make sure that we congratulate them and be like, hey, keep going. We are friends. Keep going. So yeah, keep going. But that's it. Other than that, I don't find a need to constantly reply. I think we need to be focusing on building our own world, and everybody's Twitter profile is their own world. What are their interests? What are things that they are really interested in? So we want to really focus on world building, and you will keep attracting the right people. Reply guying is interesting. I think that's an interesting way to increase your followers and create more visibility. But let's see, right now it feels very cringy to me. But again, cringe is the way to grow. Like, I know Matt Gray, and Matt Gray is very interesting because it's like every interesting person's post, every like thread guy's post, or every philosophical post that I see around creativity or something that is blowing up, Matt Gray is like the first comments over there. So that could be that is a great strategy, but I think the main focus should always be on your own world building. If you don't stand for anything, then people don't know why they are following you, and people should know why they're following you. But anyways, I had an idea right now that I wanted to write. What did I want to write? Oh my God. Okay, did I forget something? But it's good that we have live streamed, or we have recorded over here in the live stream. So we start with X20, F20, which is the research stuff. Tweet about high signal post. We're generating timestamps. We are not doing video summary right now, but companies mentioned in the stream. What else? There was one more thing. Wow. Okay, it will come. But yeah, there has to be this one tiny page where we just write about what are the main things we'll be focusing on. All right, cool. Let's go. Oh my God, now I'll keep thinking about it. All right, here are 20 high signal posts from your last 150 on X. Optimize for your interests. AI startups, productivity, philosophy, creative economy. Each has a brief why it matters and is cited. You're messing up a lot of citations. So I really hope that you have fixed this right now. No. What? Why is it taking me to heavy pulp? Sean Kirmani joins OpenAI. White Matter, Senior Robotics, DeepMind, Pedigree, moving to OpenAI signals, continued consolidation of top research talent on frontier AI work. Nice job. There's Sarah Guo. Okay. Okay, I'm guessing it's this one. We have reached an agreement in principle for Sam Altman. Oh, no, this is not that. Sean Kirmani. Okay, personal update. I'm excited to be joining OpenAI. It's been a privilege to work on robotics at Google X, Google Brain, and Google DeepMind over the past 7 years. Excited for new adventure. Okay, congrats. All right, new adventures are exciting. DVP a new card, please. Sean Kirmani. Research OpenAI interested in intelligence, understanding, and science. Kirmani.ai. Congrats to the Genie team. Video models and world models have made so much progress over the past year. It's really astounding. Makes you wonder how this might change robotics too. A new frontier for world models. So this was Genie 3. Yeah. Building physically plausible world models. Research scientist at Google DeepMind. Before that, I was already employed at Google as Robotics. Graduate from University of Texas, Austin. Electrical engineering, computer science. Make contributions towards AGI. Born in Los Angeles. Currently live in San Francisco. I'm often outdoors exploring behind a lens. My resume is also available. Very cool. Multimodal instruction navigation with long context VLMs and topological graphs. Got it. What else? AutoRT embodied foundation models for large-scale orchestration of robotic agents. Okay. Really cool, really cool. Let's go back. Sarah Gu on healthcare AI adoption might matter as contrarian, yet data-driven thesis that healthcare AI is leapfrogging legacy systems and constrained by workforce shortages, not just cost, actionable for founders and investors. All right, we are the right one. Your digital twin is now indistinguishable from you. I'm proud to announce that Agent Digital Twin is now powered by Joshua Xu, co-founder, CEO, Agent official, make visual storytelling accessible to all. Mirrors your gestures, expressions, and mannerisms, adapts to your script, speaking every line how you would, moves like you naturally from head to toe, feels unmistakably you, not AI.
You look and speak more like your real self than ever before. Every gesture, every blink, every shift of the tone is aligned with what you're saying. Let me show you. All you need to do is go to the My After tab on the agent, click on Create New After, and select the Dream product. Once your avatar is ready on your account, then you can go ahead to AI Studio, select your avatar over here to enable that digital dream experience. Because it's shown on the real footage, it's not just realistic, it is recognizable.
Your digital twin doesn't just speak for you, it moves like you, thinks like you, feels undeniably you.
Digital twin now enable more than just your upper body, it's your full presence top to toe, and now supports clean or dynamic backwards. Digital twin powered by After 4 is a game changer for creators, educators, and businesses that want true personal human presence in every frame, in any language. Your avatar doesn't just sound like you, it feels like you. This is the most personal experience we've ever built. We can't wait for you to try it. Available now.
Okay, interesting. All right, this is the one we are here for. Healthcare AI is the most underrated story. Adoption is outpacing other early adopter industries. It leapfrog systems that couldn't realistically be upgraded, and it's not about squeezing cost. It's tackling the shortage of people that's already blocking access to care. Yeah, this is so true. Like all healthcare is the one where this is the what do we call it? I remember like somebody was explaining it was interesting. What was I watching? I think I was watching Dara, Uber CEO on podcast with Nikhil, who was the founder of Zeroda, and he was basically explaining, wow, what's his name? The strategist who recently died, the guy who's known for strategy. Who is the Christopher? Who is the professor known for strategy? I had a beautiful Michael Porter. I think it was Michael Porter, right? Was it Michael Porter? Michael Porter, yes. And Michael Porter had this competitive advantage, 5 forces framework. Was it Michael Porter? Richard? Competition. So anyways, there is this entire concept about why you should start from a small industry. So there's an incumbent, let's say Microsoft, who is focused on all the products, and what you as a startup should do is focus on a very niche, tiny market that the incumbent wouldn't have any incentive to go on about, would not have any incentive to attack, but it's small and it's something that you can win at because you are just starting out. So it's a very small market, let's say 100 people, but you win that market, you absolutely win that market, and then you slowly keep growing, to the point that you become bigger than the incumbent. I forgot what's that entire thing called. But anyways, that's the strategy, and there's good strategy, bad strategy, but competitive advantage on competition, 4 or 5 forces. Yeah, I also had a very interesting course in university, elective that I was taking, and it was amazing because the professor would be like, I think his name was David Rose. Yes, his name was David Rose, and it was beautiful. Can we Can you find David Rose? David Rose. David Rose, yes. Right here. That's the professor. He was amazing. He was amazing. And I think I love the structure of the entire course, because what was happening is that he would be like, okay, today we're going to talk about this particular strategy. And what you have to do is you have to read this three, let's say, research, whatever, three strategy docs, very quick one, like 10 to 15 pages. You have to read them before you enter the class, right? And now that everybody has read that thing, and now everybody is in the class, now he starts talking, and this entire class is based on interaction, like based on what you read. Now we are going to make sure that you actually understood it, and what are the further implications that you might have missed it, and stuff like that. And I think it was beautiful, because at first you would be like, okay, I don't want to do this, I don't want to read this, that's too many pages, I will just show up. But then when you see the interactions, when you see like how those philosophical conversation and those strategy conversations are happening, suddenly you feel missed out, because you're like, oh shit, I don't understand what is happening, and I do want to participate. And that forces you to, next time when you come in the class, to next time make sure you know what is happening, to next time make sure that you are, you know what is, you know what you know, you have read the papers and you have actually read them in depth, so that you can have that conversations with your friends, and you can challenge people, and you can even challenge the professor. So that was beautiful. That was beautiful. And I think it's very similar to like the study mode that ChatGPT has released, where it's like, it doesn't give you the answer, but it is asking you questions that are helping you get to the answer. And that is something that David Rose was doing, which was beautiful. But anyways, so yeah, that's exactly what I was talking over here, that healthcare AI is interesting, because right now, one of my buddies, he had a shoulder injury, and he was like, in British Columbia, he will have to wait for 7 months to get his surgery or whatever done. So he would rather just, I think, I don't know what he said, but he would rather just fly to India or something. And that is the problem. That is the problem with healthcare right now. So right now we're just talking about surgery over here, but that is the same problem with family doctor and stuff like that, where even if you need something very small, even if you need just like therapy, or even if you need just like some advice, or just like, hey, I want to restructure how I think about health, and like add some new habits and stuff like that, the line to get a family doctor is crazy. So the fact that you can just open your chat GPT and start talking to it for $20 per month, or just right away, and $20 is nothing, but if you can, and it's not just healthcare, it's also everything else. So just the fact that you can get that is a game changer. So now you have this new thing that is totally leapfrogging. It's totally leapfrogging the existing structure. The existing structure cannot even adapt. It's harder to change the existing structure than to just go all in on this new structure and leapfrog it. So that's exactly what she's talking. As you start to walk on the way appears. Oh, this reminds me. Jump and the net appears, something like that. What is the code? Jump and the net appears. Leap and the net will appear is a well-known maxim about courage and taking risk. Who said it? It also appears in Julia Cameron's influential book, American Naturalist, and appears in several personal development and inspirational contexts. Inspirational quote sites. All right. Open source is the best. So many video editors, yet FFmpeg remains unrivaled. Wow. FFmpeg. What is that? Powerful open source command line tool for recording, converting, editing, and streaming audio and video across all platforms. Comprises a suite of libraries and tools for multimedia processing, including codecs for nearly every video and audio format, supporting conversion, compression, editing task. Operates via terminal commands for transcoding, trimming, merging, filtering, and more. Really cool. Really cool. This is it. Complete cross-platform solution to record, convert, and stream audio, video. I think same for OBS, right? Is OBS open source? Free and fully open source. Which means anyone is free to use, modify, and redistribute it. The source code is publicly accessible, primarily hosted on GitHub, and thousands of contributors have improved the project over its lifetime. Okay, this is good, but we'll get back over here. And leapfrog systems that couldn't realistically be upgraded, and it's not about squeezing costs, it's tackling the shortage of people that's already blocking access to care. Also, scribing is just one slice. There's taking notes, and then there's providing care, making good decisions, communicating with patients, navigating admin to get treatment, meds. Modern medical care is sometimes already great, but it is not evenly distributed. It's not evenly distributed. I think it just reminds me of the same thing that I'm doing here with timestamps, right? It can do the work at 7 out of 10 scale. So it can already do the work for you for 7 out of 10 scale. And then because you have so much knowledge and you have an idea of taste of what actually will look good, the human can come in and make it go from 7 to 10 on 10. I think that is the idea. Jeff Dean on Gemini image generation upgrade, why it matters. Indicates the art progress in multimodal generation editing and Google used for creative and product workflows. Why is it taking over there to the profile? Latest Gemini image generation editing model is quite good. See the examples in the thread below. It lets you indulge a bit in creative fun, helps you make new business cards, etc. Try out. Jeff Dean, chief scientist. This model scores very well in the image generation IM Arena leaderboard with a large gap of 170 points to the next row models. Yeah, I think this is the next thing that maybe YouTube has to work on. Like when YouTube is doing a great work in generating captions, what it needs to do is understand the context and make sure that when someone says something totally out of the blue, not English, just a company's name, based on the context, understand, like do your search and understand what company this person is probably talking about. Like when I say Osmo, I'm probably talking about, and in the context of AI startups, I'm probably talking about the Osmo, the olfactory science AI digitizing smell company. Will do. Sean Chauhan seems like he has a bot going on. He's just replying to everything. Okay. Also, oh, wow. Ask Gemini. Okay. Tools, deep research canvas images with image gen. Create image of Jeff Dean as a footballer. Generating image. We got 2.5 flash, fast all around help, 2.5 pro reasoning, math and code. All right, Jeff Dean as a footballer. With image generation in Gemini, your imagination is the limit. If what you see doesn't quite match what you had in mind, try adding more details to the prompt. The more specific you are, the better Gemini can create images that reflect your vision. Your imagination is the limit. Also, I just want to check Jackson. So we just saw Jackson yesterday. He's asking to get some sponsors, or he tweeted about getting some sponsors, and now he's also moving from just audio to video. I am curious now that coming soon on Dialectic Pod. Okay, so he got the mic set up over here. Fancy mic. Okay, we don't know why he has two different mics. But really cool, different spaces. I think this is going to be very interesting when you have. This is going to be very interesting, very interesting. I'm really excited for this. This is also something that I want to start doing. So, really exciting, really exciting. Defanging loader technology. I asked Hipcity Reg about his desire in his board's work on defanging loader technologies. It's about fear and authority. We can accept obfuscation of details due to fear and embrace complexity and help others do the same. I've had similar conversation with Dialectic Pod, particularly about technology and tools with Jeffrey Litt. Jeffrey Litt. Capano. Yes, making Linus. The latter's articulation of this idea is a favorite. Don't delegate understanding. Not to be on a Bill Gurley regulatory capture vibe, although with the recent Figma IPO, it was great to see him in full form. That fear is being weaponized to reassert self-authority. Fear is being weaponized to reassert self-authority. If I can wield the technology and then poke at why it's dangerous to society, but don't worry, because I'm the only one that can wield it and I will protect you. Adam Curtis has this great documentary about how politicians stop promising better futures and then reverted to just promising people that bad things won't happen. When they reverted to saying bad things won't happen, they were able to paint boogeyman around the world. For the US, this might look like terrorists in the Middle East, making them appear so much bigger and scarier than they were. The illegibility of those people made it feel scary because you can't even really do your own research. You are just relying on intelligence reports. We do the same thing with technology. Behind this AI black box is a scary goal, but we put a smiley face on it, and it gives you deep research. We have to really deconstruct these notions of fear as we try to distribute technology, because it creates a manufactured consent on who has the authority. Behind this AI black box is a scary goal, but we put a smiley face on it and gives you deep research. We have to really deconstruct these notions of fear as we try to distribute technology, because it creates a manufactured consent on who has the authority. Versus the classic Allen K computing idea of popping open the hood and actually introducing the complexity to people. Exactly. Very interesting. Reggie James, everybody worships. Very, very interesting. Okay. Scale AI wins 99 million. Scale AI wins 99 million US Army contract. And Alexander Wong is still posting about Scale AI. That is interesting. Congratulations to Scale AI team on major 99 million contract with the US Army. Proud to share we have been awarded a 99 million contract to support the acceleration of the US Army's adoption of AI. This contract reflects our long-term commitment to ensuring America's military remains prepared, resilient, and at the forefront of AI innovation. Read more. I thought Scale AI only worked for Meta now. Huge news. What are the leadership changes in Scale AI after Meta poached the CEO? Underwent major leadership changes after Meta poached its CEO Alexander Wong as part of a $14.3 billion investment that gave Meta 49% stake in the company. Promoted its chief strategy officer Jason Droege to interim CEO immediately following Wang's departure to Meta, where Wang now leads Meta's superintelligence labs. New leadership structure. So Alexander Wong, he announced a partnership with Midjourney to license their aesthetic technology for our future models and products, bringing beauty to the billions. Bringing beauty to billions. Wow. Bringing beauty to billions. Bringing beauty to billions. I like that. Okay. Jason Droge is serving as interim CEO and has directed a rapid reorganization consolidating the generative AI division from 16 teams down to 5 core pods and centralizing operations. Several other executives, including VPs, chief of staffs, and researchers, also exited following Meta's move, representing a broader talent loss for Scale AI. Hyper.ai. Okay. Organizational changes. The company laid off 14% of its staff, around 200 employees, and 500 contractors in July 25, citing overexpansion and the need for greater efficiency and focus. Datacommy. Got it. Shifted its operational focus, with Droge emphasizing increased hiring in enterprise and government sales and efforts to stabilize client relationships as major customers like Google and OpenAI have distanced themselves due to Meta's stake. These changes follow the loss of its founder and several key staff, a loss of major contracts, and a new emphasis on streamlined operations and maintaining competitiveness in the AI data labeling market. What? How did they land the 99 million partnership with US Army? Competitive solicitation for advanced AI research and development, earning the Army's trust as a prime contractor for the Thunder Forge program, a flagship initiative. I actually want to see if there is a website over here. A flagship initiative to integrate generative AI into military decision-making and planning. The partnership was won competitive bidding. Open internet solicitation for AI R&D, receiving 11 bids. Scale's expertise in data labeling, generative AI, and model evaluation positioned above competitors. Prior multi-million-dollar defense contracts for AI R&D, including a $90.8 million Army contract 2020, showing deep experience with annotated datasets and operational AI integration. Major tech players like Microsoft proving cutting-edge LLMs, and Anduril integrating Scale's AI into military modeling, building a team with broad commercial and defense credibility. Resource allocation, war gaming, using large language models, AI simulations, and agentic workflows. Initially deploying solutions at Indo-PACOM and EUCOM. Scale AI and its partners emphasize responsible AI deployment under human oversight, addressing ethical concerns and demonstrating clear commitment to the U.S. defense modernization agenda. Thunder Forge AI for military planning. UPI. Awarded prime contract for DoD. Yeah, it's very interesting. All the primes, Indo-Pacific and European commands, initial deployments. It's very interesting how the primes are now going from these old military industrial complex to new startups. Not new startups, but startups or new upcoming companies like Anduril. Anduril is also, I don't know if we call Anduril a startup, but as compared to the military industrial complex like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, it's definitely a smaller company, but much faster and much better products. Competitive selection, 1 over 10 other bids. Thunder Forge project. DIU. Defense Innovation Unit. Operational theater level planning. Our ability to consolidate, analyze, and act on vast quantities of theater-wide data across the warfighting functions has never been greater. Thunder Forge is the next step in this effort and will allow the U.S. to keep pushing the frontier forward in terms of leveraging emerging technologies to modernize organization. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. It's just like, like if you look at this photo is pretty much, it gives you an idea that there is, like, you are now operating on a problem, or you are operating in a field where there is so much data going on, and what you are doing is you are tracking all these metrics that are relevant to you. This is something that I was trying to do at one of my earlier internships, and then something that I was trying to do at my previous company. And it's like I never had the real I always wanted to do it, but I never had the real motivation to actually make it happen because the tools weren't good. I didn't have enough knowledge, and I was like, okay, there's too much work involved over here and too much learning of things that I don't even know right now. I need to know about coding and stuff. But now this is possible, and now also I have the right motivation. So I'm also really excited to make something like this actually happen, and we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. I think we're starting with our YouTube analytics page, where now I'm starting to see a lot of analytics, and maybe we'll do something. We'll do something where we have this one main dashboard where we have all the metrics that we care about. So it's YouTube analytics. It's definitely YouTube analytics, and then more, and then more. Let's see, because we are right now operating on multiple. What we got to do is keep generating momentum. I'm starting to see that how the views are increasing. Like if I open YouTube Studio right now, let's see. If I open Studio right now, what do I see? I see 1.4 thousand, 1,400 views basically, and the graph is only going up. It definitely went really up, and I know the reason why. The reason was because Barry Ball, the interview that we did, his team was team was looking at the interview, and they were trying to make some clips out of it. So that's one. But also, I don't think so. I think there's more views coming from somewhere. So it's very interesting. A lot of experiments are going on, especially with SEO. My goal is just to improve the SEO, and it's becoming really interesting. Like, where are all these people coming from? And in Studio, it does give you the keywords. So some people are definitely coming from Perplexity Comet. They are searching just Perplexity Comet, and that's where they're finding us. I know some people found us through just the Rick Rubin, what do we call it? Just a Rick Rubin keyword. So that's a keyword that is bringing a lot of traffic. But this is now getting really interesting because we are constantly getting more and more views. And now I'm like, okay, I'm running a lot of experiments. Which one is working? I want to double down on that. So things are getting very interesting now. Okay. We looked into this. Scale AI, Victor, Ripper, Belly, Synthesia, 100 million ARR. Rare hard metrics on. Why is heavy pulp mentioned over here? You're messing it up again. Perplexity. Victor, let's go. CEO, co-founder of Synthesia IO, create AI videos from text in minutes, trusted by 50,000 companies like Amazon, Accenture, routers. We are always hiring. Synthesia, 100 million ARR, 142% NRR. On an AI product at scale, ARR, NRR, customer growth, useful benchmarks for AI SaaS. Okay, let's see. Beautiful photo, Synthesia. Let's see. Application logiciel. We have to do some videos in French now. We will explore the French tech scene as well. Turn text to video in minutes, create studio quality videos with AI avatars and voiceovers in 140 plus languages, save up to 90% of time and cost on video production. Growth and learning, continuing editor. Wow. In a constantly changing world, those who embrace learning can adapt faster and more effectively. Growth keeps us flexible. Breed with just when challenges arise. Friendly, engaging tone, well done. Really cool. Create a free AI video. Alright, give me. What is happening? It's not working. Get started. Ready to scale your AI. Ready to scale your video production. Used by 50,000 teams to create video at scale, saving up to 80% of the time and budget. Okay. AI dubbing with lip sync now live. Okay.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Your free 30-minute Synthesia demo. Book it now to see how you can replace boring text with engaging videos, saving 90% of your time and costs, just like Zoom, DuPont, and Heineken.
Thank you. DuPont, Zoom, routers, Heineken, bestseller. Easily create engaging videos that turn attention into action. Engaging creating video doesn't get skipped. 10K save per month. 30% engagement increase, 90% time savings. I think it definitely helps when you don't just give text but video. Like there's this one book, Transurfing Reality, that I'm trying to look into, and um, I think just audio is way better than just text. And also, it's not just about audio from like Audible, just convert that text into audio, but I think it's very interesting when you have an influencer that you kind of trust and they read that content and now they give you a really good summary, a long one, but a really good summary of that book. So seeing a long boring text from someone's angle who is able to like distill those thoughts and talk about that, okay, these are the 10 most important takeaways that I took from it, and like speak that really clearly, that is really cool. That is really important. Change management, sales enablement. Mark. Wow. Try out our free AI generator free AI video generator. Okay. Avatar, Alex. One platform to create, localize, manage, and publish AI videos. Create your own expressive AI avatar. AI video assistant. There's some Adobe stuff going on. Spanish, French, German. Okay. Good stuff.
Right now, what would your advice be to students who are studying right now in terms of what they should be thinking about studying, what maybe they should avoid as they face up to that future workforce?
I think that problem solving is still going to be one of the most important skills, which is that's a very like broad stroke, right? I think you learn problem solving.
I don't know why it feels AI generated. Is it? What advice he has for students on what to study?
In most types of education.
Oh, it's because their skin is clear. The background bokeh effect is pretty cool.
I'm going to still take a STEM degree because I think one thing we know is not going to change is the law of physics, right? Those will presumably remain intact for quite a while, and I think they're a great foundation for understanding how the world works. Outside of that, I think it is a lot of spotting trends. I think that's really interesting. I think computers are not very good at that. I think it's be creative. That's also something that LLMs and computers are not necessarily very good at, right? Which is combining different things or ideas that maybe shouldn't really kind of fit together into something new. I think those would be the most important things. So I think what's going to be less valuable is the kind of calculator skills, right? Which is like, I can sit in Excel, I can make a formula that does that calculates the discounted cash flow or something, or I can write a function or program that can, when you click on this button, send some data to like a database somewhere. Like those things will probably be like a lot less valuable, but I still think putting together systems, solving real problems, I don't think that computers are going to like take over that.
Putting together systems. Okay. Thank you, Victor. Big milestone for Synthesia. We have raised 180 million Series D. Wait, is this the latest one? No, this 15 janvier. I'm gonna go over here. Another record-breaking stretch at Synthesia, crossed 100 million ARR in early April 25. Double revenue year-over-year. Growth accelerated 200% from 80% at Series D. Hit 142% NRR, up to 119% a year ago. Quadrupled our 100K plus customer base in 12 months. Trusted by 80% of the Fortune 100, scaling faster, hiring across all teams. Interesting. Kleiner Perkins, Josh Coyne, Goldad, partner client, Kleiner Perkins, fitness addict, love of lower Kit Kats. I love Kit Kats. Cleveland roots. Startups are hard, but when everything is working, accelerating with a massive vision ahead, it's a beautiful thing. Mentor, call pay, nothing. Let's go. Make tech fun to inspire creativity. Nothing.tech. Store locator. Looks like you are in Canada, but you're browsing the store for United Kingdom. Stay on. Glyph mirror. Whoa. Okay, these are the two cameras. What is this? Come to play. Phone 3. This is the phone 3. Whoa, what is this? Oh, this headphones. Come to play. Wow. These are the watches. Okay. Move. Smart, predictably unexpected. Phone 3A Pro. This is phone 3A. Hey, beautiful design work. Look at this. Extra wonderful by design. CMF Phone 2 Pro. Double down on sound. Buds 2 Plus. Wow, they also made a Beats Pro competitor. Ear open. Really cool. Open your world. Sound evolved. This is ear open. This is Buds 2 Plus. Okay. They're making everything. Wow, this is like sick photo. Sick photo. Very cool. Very cool. And you see the dots that are going on. These dots are pretty sick. It's just adding a very interesting effect. And they are switching slowly from white to gray to black. Okay. Really cool. Ear A. Okay, more. Huh. Why do they have so many variations in earbuds? Extraordinary 2A plus. Powerfully unique 2A. Offers sharp all phones audio. Yeah, let's see the Canadian version of it. Nothing R. Actually, let's see nothing. Phone 3. Glyph interface. Design. A pro camera system. Camera in action. AMOLED display. Wow, there was a time when phones were constantly improving, and with every new phone, they were flexing about that, oh, this has AMOLED display, this has this display, and blah 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 blah. But now nobody cares. I mean, maybe it's just me, but now I don't see people really caring about that. Oh, the progress of the phones. Maybe nothing is focused on the market that still wants like a unique personality. Now that the technology has become base standard is really high, now the game is about personalization, that okay, how do you stand out among all the other people with the same phones, because all the phones now look the same. So how do you stand out? I think the game has moved into personalization now. But I still remember there was a time when everybody's like, oh, this one is AMOLED display and 14.5, and suddenly people used to care too much about the numbers and the metrics, that oh, is your camera 600 pixel or blah blah blah. And I'm like, who cares about that? But I know people who were like really into it. Yeah, what is happening over here? It's pretty cool though. Is this a lens or a camera? I don't know. There's a glyph interface over here. Yeah, I think they know the market they are targeting. And that market will buy this. Okay. Beezer clocks and his venture broken. LP level data thread on market structure and where early stage still works helps calibrate fundraising and allocation. Is this right? No, heavy pulp, bro. Perplexity was working, the agentic browser was working really well, but now you are messing it up. Beezer Clarkson, looking to change the world for the better through technology, investing in partnerships. Partner at Sapphire Partners, the LP arm of Sapphire VC, Open LP. Aggregates and amplifies insights across the venture ecosystem to demystify LP perspective from Sapphire Partners. Okay. This is the one. All right. Is venture broken? It's a question I'm hearing almost daily across the VC ecosystem, and as an LP, one I can't ignore. We set out to find out, so we're digging into the data. What we found was that despite the expanding influence of mega funds, dedicated seed and Series A funds still have a very strong presence. Specifically, the data showed that both types of funds are actively leading price rounds, resulting in one of the most competitive venture markets I've seen. Mega fund, boutique fund, most active seed investors. Okay, so they're basically saying that people who would usually come at the later stages and put in the money for scale, they are now coming in the early stage seed rounds. So we got A16Z, right? Everybody has started their like seed accelerator thing. So A16Z has Speedrun, Sequoia has, we looked into it. What was Sequoia's called? I forgot. It's a cool name. Lightspeed, Khosla. What does count mean? Close between Q1 22 and Q2 25 Bay Area NYC, only 2 million plus priced round size. Mega Fund, A16Z, Sequoia, General Catalyst, Lightspeed, Khosla, YC. Right, A16Z is competing with YC now. And it's doing better, it seems like. Okay. Felicis, Lux Capital, Excel, Kraft. Kraft is David Sachs. Boutique Fund, Gradient first round, Initialized. I thought Initialized was closed after Gary 10 left, but no, I think he passed on the reins. Polychain, really cool. Abstract, there's a proper crypto fund over here. Mac Venture, Basechan, Dragonfly, True Ventures, Kindred, Radical. Okay, all right, let's see what's happening. People are asking because the early stage funding environment feels like it's fundamentally shifting. We're seeing the growing concentration of capital in scenarios outlined by investors like Sam Lesson, Intern the Information, GP, it's slow. Tropio, Finn. Solana, Venmo, open 4 team share Sublime. 2025 update on the end of the VC factory model. Bill Gurley is very interesting. Recent state of the venture market pod and Robgo, Lucky Husband, Next for You, product at eBay, Spark, the crisis moment in Seed, Bill Gurley's recent state of the venture market pod, Robco series, the crisis moment in Seed. So what does this mean for VCs picking right is more of a moat than ever before, and how a GP wins the right to be on the best founders cap tables is what sets them apart. Most active Series A investors: Insight, Tiger, Nia, Bessemer, Union Square, Benchmark, F Prime, Forerunner, Crosslink, Raycroft, Amplify, M13. M13 I believe is from Microsoft. We looked at 2,000 plus priced rounds and more than 2 million, focusing on NYC and SF because they continue to dominate early stage deal activity. We wanted to also take a look at safes, but it turns out they're incredibly challenging to track, so stay tuned on the possible next iteration of this report with Carta. Oh, they tagged the wrong Carta. We define mega funds as 501 million plus seed, 751 million plus A, 10 billion plus platforms. A16Z, Sequoia, Index, General Catalyst. Boutiques were stage focused, 20 to 500 million, 75 to 750 million. Included funds like USV, Benchmark, Amplify, Forerunner, Modern Consumer, Ambitious Teams, F Collective. Most aligned VC for founders at Seed, Uber, Airtable, SeedGeek. What does the A16Z say? Invest in software eating the world. We invest in software eating the world. Watch the Ben and Mark show. A16Z portfolio, A16Z podcast. Sequoia. We help the daring build legendary companies from idea to IPO and beyond. Idea to IPO and beyond. Partnering with exceptional entrepreneurs from SF to NY, London to Tel Aviv, from seed to IPO. Let's venture beyond. Benchmark focuses on early stage venture investing in consumer marketplaces, open source, AI infrastructure, enterprise software. Edge of large markets being transformed by technological and societal pressures. Wow, A16Z has the shortest one, and it's beautiful. We invest in software eating the world. Amplify. First investor for technical founders. Okay. Modern consumer. Most aligned. Yeah, it's so interesting. How do you name yourself? We invest in software eating the world. It's funny how this one is short, like lower caps, and this one is upper cap. Upper cap? How do you say lower cap? Lower cap and upper cap. Higher cap, upper cap. Yeah, upper caps. Huge thanks to my colleague for spending countless hours combing through hundreds of different numbers and data set. He's the real hero of this analysis. Percentage of rounds, mega funds, boutique funds, total capital raised. Entered the early stage market with real force. At seed, they have led 25 to 30% of rounds, while boutique seed funds have consistently led 65-75%. Interesting. Depending on the quarter, mega funds led anywhere from 32 to 60% of rounds. Co-leads are rarer, just 4% of rounds. A trend has connected to the shrinking number of seed rounds, even as the size grows. Round size and volume, now that's where things were very interesting. At seed, mega funds are most active in the larger rounds. They led 54% of 9 to 10 million rounds. Their peak by percentage, 111 the 10 million plus bucket, co-leading 29 more, bigger rounds, bigger checks, and that's where mega funds are showing up most. Ashley, founder at Vermilion Fund, a pre-seed and seed fund for technical founders creating technical products. Before GitHub, GitLab, Twilio. Series A shows a similar trend with more intensity. Mega funds led 63% or 20 million plus rounds, the highest by both share and count. This aligns with their investment strategy targeting A companies explicitly. Given their scale and mandate, we would expect them to be most active where round sizes run large. So let's answer the question. Is venture broken? IMO, no. It is evolving and the level of difficulty has gone up significantly. The venture market is more efficient and more competitive than ever before. Mega fund are leading many early stage rounds, especially the high end, but they are not winning all of them. The data backs that up. Seed to it analysts are stretching. You are tagging the wrong Carta. Beezer. Seed rounds themselves are getting bigger, often preemptive and priced high. This creates more pressure on A rounds and more risk around graduation. Okay. Pressure is rising across the stack. Fundraising is harder. LP allocations are more concentrated and IPO markets are still constrained. IPO markets are still constrained. Fundraising is harder. LP allocations are more concentrated and IPO markets are still constrained. The open questions are mega funds paying up for the best or just the biggest? Are boutiques showing discipline or missing out? Time and DPI will tell. Time and DPI will tell. Very interesting. Are mega funds paying up for the best or just the biggest? Are boutiques showing discipline or missing out? Hey, very interesting. Very interesting. Very simply tells you that what her entire analysis is all about. Yeah. Are mega funds just paying up for the best? Like, are they good at picking up that, okay, out of all these smaller early stage startups, who is the best and who is kind of just because of their momentum, they are able to generate a bigger Series A? And for boutiques, are they showing discipline that they're picking up the best ones, or they're missing out because the mega funds are able to attract, just because of their brand names, they are able to attract the better ones. They are able to attract the best ones, yeah. Brings a big aspect of the time will tell question here. But Manidis makes a great point. Some categories might not remain in the world of venture. History also shows us new categories for venture investment will be created on the back of new technology innovations, so going with the optimist route for now. This is a fine strategy when a non-consensus asset can become consensus with $2 million, but what happens when it needs $200 million is a great question about what categories will remain investable for anything that looks like traditional venture capital model. 25th August, okay. Regardless of where the AI cycle ends, it is inevitable that the number of investable assets pre-IPO is going to go from thousands to dozens pretty quickly. Most of the market has intuited this, but very few are taking it deadly serious. My view of what's going on here. Number of investable assets pre-IPO is going to go from thousands to dozens pretty quickly. I've written about the causes of this shift elsewhere, but the story is very simple. Even if all model progress plateaus tomorrow, or already has months prior, we already have a world where the marginal cost of the inputs that make up a company are orders of magnitude cheaper. Counterintuitively, the cost of building anything consequential is much more expensive. Things that used to be cheap as a result of good software, distribution, attention, install base are now order of magnitude more expensive. The returns they drive much greater. Achieving distribution, attention, or meaningful scale will mean overcoming a nearly endless army of vibe-coded enterprise widgets that are competing for the same CIO attention that you are. Achieving distribution, attention, or meaningful scale will mean overcoming a nearly endless army of vibe-coded enterprise widgets that are competing for the same CIO attention that you are. We explored this idea at length in Software as a Variable Cost business last year. Visually, this will look like a smushing of the return curve. Bottom quartile assets will be able to stay alive longer due to reduced cogs and niches. Middle 50% assets suddenly can be run for cash but are non-venture outcomes, and the winners will be orders of magnitude bigger. Venture-backed companies, number of venture-backed companies, okay. Company size. Pre-LLM, post-LLM. Bankruptcy, Apple. Very interesting graph. Very interesting graph. Very interesting graph. Okay. This means the nature of risk capital necessary to fund the next generation of internet companies will need to be totally different. The foot race model of venture, where dozens of identical firms line up to compete to issue brain-dead identical term sheets, is over. Identical firms line up to compete to issue brain-dead identical term sheets is over. This means the nature of risk capital necessary to fund the next generation of internet companies will need to be totally different. This model will be killed by both supply and demand on the demand side. The nature of capital needs for emergent businesses will be meaningfully different. An early stage venture may need to strip a pubco for distribution, buy a team, or gut a services company. On the supply side, I recently had a conversation with a very good early stage investor who described his job as being a truffle hunter, but wondered if there are still truffles to be found after all the fields had already been turned over by heavy machinery launch platforms. If there's two ways to be good in the venture business, be early and therefore cheap. This also makes me think, like, if everybody's moving towards attention, I think Instagram, Facebook has a great opportunity to just create a creator fund and start funding the actual creators who are winning on their platforms. They have all the data. Instagram should create a creator fund when if attention is all you need, and attention is going to, and people are manufacturing attention on TikTok and Instagram. Wow, okay. This is something we should be writing about. Draft a tweet. Draft a tweet around this idea. If attention is all you need and people are manufacturing attention via Instagram, Reels, TikTok, then both these platforms have an opportunity to enter the venture business. They have all the data. From impressions to downloads. And venture is becoming and the business of venture capital is changing from capital getting cheaper Hmm. Hmm. If attention is all you need, then Instagram Reels and TikTok aren't just making creators, they are manufacturing investable attention. With unrivaled data from impressions to downloads and cheap capital everywhere, why wouldn't these platforms become the next generation of venture capitalists? The attention economy is the deal flow. That was really good. That was really good. Wow. This means the nature of risk capital necessary to fund the next generation of internet companies will need to be totally different. The foot race model. The nature of risk capital necessary to fund the next generation of internet companies will need to be totally different. The foot race model of venture capital or venture, where dozens of identical firms line up to compete to issue brain dead identical term sheets is over. This model will be killed by both supply and demand. On the demand side, the nature of capital needs for emergent businesses will be meaningfully different. An early stage venture may need to strip a pubco for distribution by a team or gut a services company. On the supply side, I recently had a conversation with a very good early stage investor who described his job as being truffle hunter, but wondered if there's still truffles to be found after all the fields had already been turned over by heavy machinery. If there's two ways to be good in the venture business, be early and therefore cheap, or be contrarian. Both of these are being competed out by either increased capital needs early in the life cycle of platforms that can pay up on okay, good assets early for option value. Both of these are being competed out by, okay, I don't understand this, be early or be contrarian, okay? Both of these are being competed out by either increased capital needs early in the life cycle or platforms that can pay up on okay, good assets early for option value. Do everything you can do cross product to accumulate dollars behind companies at the far end of the return curve, early, primary, secondary, credit, receivables, underwriting, M&A. Be ruthless and play a private equity game in the middle. Do everything you can do cross product to accumulate dollars behind companies at the far end of the return curve, early, primary, secondary, credit, receivables, underwriting, M&A. Be ruthless and play a private equity game in the middle. Very few firms are prepared to prosecute either side of the market presently. Even fewer can imagine a world where 70, 80, 90 of their peers and downstream capital providers die off or consolidate as the rush to multi-manager platforms continue. The timeline has been filled in this week with venture capitalists reaching a consensus that they all are in fact in the business of being non-conscious. This is a fine strategy where a non-consensus asset can become consensus with $2 million, but what happens when it needs 200 million? Playing the game on the field may be the path of least resistance for most managers, but it's also the path of least returns. The fundamental activity of venture is no longer 40 companies, 10% each every 5 years. You need to understand how to get 10x dollars in 100x fewer companies. If attention is all you need, then Instagram Reels or TikTok aren't just making creators, they are manufacturing investable attention. With unrivaled data from impressions to downloads and cheap capital everywhere, why wouldn't these platforms become the next generation of venture capitalists? The attention economy is the deal flow. Bill Gurley, investor, Grubhub, Zillow, Uber, Stitch Fix, Nextdoor. I'm surprised Uber isn't listed at first. Nextdoor, Glassdoor, Hacker, Solve Health, InstaWork, flexible work app that connects local business with hourly workers. BG2 Pod. That's Bill Gurley and Bill. I forgot the other person's name. Should the government start taking equity in every startup for the federal tax incentives we offer. Or Tesla, how about the banks? What about when a state government offers a tax incentive? Should they get an equity stake in exchange? Board representation. This is a super slippery slope. Let's government stakes in companies. Let's stop confusing things. The government has always subsidized important industries and companies, but is finally negotiating for better deals. Equity stakes. Imagine if the government insisted on equity in Tesla in return for electric car tax credits. If you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Wow. If you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. I think somebody said this about Canada versus US, that in Canada, everybody's respected. Everybody gets respect no matter what, just because they're in Canada. Everybody's nice. But in US, you have to earn it. And that makes you, that gets you to go after this crazy ideas, because if you are not a winner, you are a loser and you don't get respect. But in Canada, everybody gets respect, and for some who are ambitious, that could feel like oppression. That could feel like oppression, because they feel like, why I'm different, why am I being treated the same as this person who is not doing anything? If you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. I was almost stopped in my tracks by that line in a profile of him. What do you think? I'm very curious. Whoa. That is too much. If the government is the lender of last resort, they should 100% take equity and arguably 100% of the equity. Fail to do this with GM, Goldman Sachs, United, and other airlines. How do you know if they are lender of the last resort? The company takes the deal. Rabid capitalist based politics. Owner Athens Media. Athens. I'm surprised Google didn't do this first. Like they did with Kubernetes and Android. Google at least knew the only way to fight from behind is through going open. Odds of catching up from behind with a closed model less than 2%. Stepping up on open weight since the White House AI action plan. Well done. C'est vraiment superbe. Bravo pour ton succès avec Hugging Face. C'est inspirant et n'est que le début. N'est que le début. Great to see stepping up on open weight since the White House AI action plan. Clément. Researcher in residence before he starts his PhD at Oxford. Chetan, Eric Wang, Emil Howard, Oxford, benchmark. Excited for Eric to help us in a broader portfolio connect with the forefront AI research. Delighted. Was cut off after 3 videos, clearly motivated by XAI, but a cap at 3. You're trying to catch OpenAI. You have to outspend the late stage VCs who are willing to spend a lot. Slide of the weekend with 3 video generations and no cost with BO3 in the Gemini app. But act fast, you have from now until Sunday at 10 p.m. PD. On your marks, get set. Hard for launch public companies to understand how risk-seeking and ambitious the collective late-stage market is. Was cut off after 3 videos, clearly motivated by XAI. But a cap at 3, you're trying to catch OpenAI. You have to outspend the late-stage VCs who are willing to spend a lot. Hard for large public companies to understand how risk-seeking and ambitious the collective late-stage market is. I remember when Microsoft went after Netscape, they knew what was at stake. No one chasing OpenAI that hard, at least on consumer product side. Anthropic has told investors it is displeased by the prevalence of SPVs floating around. It told one of its largest investors to use its own capital and not an SPV, as it did in a previous funding round. Surge of demand for its 150 billion funding round. Vehicle. V's vehicle. B is preferred. Special purpose vehicle. Legal entity, usually a limited liability company or partnership created for a specific narrow purpose, often to isolate financial risk or to facilitate an investment. Commonly used to pool money from a group of investors, sometimes called syndicates, so that they can collectively invest in a single company or asset. Interesting. Displeased by the prevalence of SPVs floating around, one of the largest investors to use its own capital, not an SPV, as it did in a previous funding round. The clampdown is a sign the AI startup has more leverage to dictate terms due to rampant demand for its private shares. Anthropic's round is 5 times oversubscribed. Seeing voracious demand for its shares is clamping down on certain kind of investment. Okay. Roughly 120 billion valuation is becoming more selective over investment structures, discouraging the use of SPV in the round. I think so. What would be the reason why somebody would be? Why would they be against SPV? I'm guessing because you cannot control who are your investors, and that would lead to a lot of liquidity. So ideally what you want is you want a lot of control. Like, you don't want the Elon and Twitter situation where somebody just starts raking up a bunch of shares in your company and then is now required by law to be on your board. So that would be something interesting. The company told major backer Menlo Ventures to invest using its own capital rather than an SPV, unlike a prior 2023 round where Menlo led 400 million with part funded by an SPV disclosed in filings. Strong investor demand is giving Anthropic leverage to dictate terms. Around is reportedly 5 times oversubscribed, and Anthropic prefers tier 1 VCs committed for the long term. That makes sense. SPVs, while useful for speed and broader participation, are seen as less desirable by companies seeking direct investor relationships. Recent social posts highlight layered SPV fees and broker feeding frenzy dynamics in AI deals. Menlo's expected commitment this round is smaller, around 120 million. Anthropic's revenue has surged, driven by Claude's coding capabilities, boosting demand for its shares. Anthropic's last reported valuation was 61 after 3.5 billion raised in March, reportedly targeting 500 billion valuation in an employee stock sale, making Anthropic's 170 billion appear relatively cheaper to some investors. What does this mean? Broker feeding frenzy dynamics in AI deals. Broker feeding frenzy dynamics in AI deals refers to a situation where there's overwhelming demand from investors to get access to hot AI startups like Anthropic or OpenAI with, and a multitude of brokers. Middlemen try to profit off that demand. Broker feeding frenzy dynamics in AI deals. Try to profit off the demand. What happens is multiple brokers set up special purpose vehicles to pool funds from many smaller investors. These brokers often charge layered management fees, sometimes with different broker creating SPVs on top of other SPVs, stacking additional fees. Since many of these brokers have no direct relationship with the actual AI startup, their only value add is access. And as demand surges, unscrupulous brokers and even outright grifters can take advantage, feeding on investor excitement. The resulting feeding frenzy is chaotic, pyramid-like, and can leave new investors paying steep fees and facing higher risk, while the company being invested in sees little benefit from the broker layers. It's a highly aggressive, sometimes exploitative rush by brokers to profit from investor hype around AI companies, often at the expense of transparency and investor values. Wow. who are the biggest investors in Anthropic. Amazon, largest single investor with total investments reaching at least 8 billion. Includes Anthropic using AWS as its primary cloud platform. Google invested 2 billion. Menlo Ventures participated in several rounds, investing hundreds of millions in leading prior funding efforts. Lightspeed, Series A round in early 25. TPG, Iconic, Spark, Bessemer, Jane Street, Cisco, Fidelity, Research Company, General Catalyst. Whoa, look at their website. They pay so much money to their people. And look at their website. Solving the puzzle of global markets. Jane Street is a research-driven trading firm where curious people work together on deep problems. Our people, our culture. Machine learning at Jane Street. Immersive internships, direct mentorship, events, multi-day programs. See the thinking behind our work. Wow. Very interesting website. Founded by a small group of traders and technologists in the tiny New York office, today we have more than 3,000. We were founded, okay. More than 3,000 employees across 5 global offices. We trade a broad range of asset classes on more than 200 venues in 45 countries. Innovate in tech from functional programming to machine learning to programmable hardware. Proprietary trading business thrives. We put our expertise and experience to work for our clients. Taking on the most difficult trading challenges. All the pieces fit together. Intellectual humility, less hierarchy, more collaboration. Very interesting. A16Z on agents and workflows. We saw this yesterday. Agents fit workflows to work bends to agents. Strong strategic framing for product direction. Interesting. The cost of writing. Why is he wearing a tuxedo? Ben Scharfstein. Applying AI at scale. I started a few companies. Village Computing, Stello. Build recommendations. Google. Applied Math. Harvard. The cost of writing software is going to zero. In an Asian native world, code can always be rewritten. The advantage now is in solving the most important problem.
I believe is the cost of writing software. So things that previously would have had been done by a data engineer, for example, say how do we build an agent that does data engineering? And those are things that 2 years ago were not possible. I actually tried to do this 2 years ago at the startup. It wasn't possible. And now it really is. The capabilities have really expanded, integrations, trust, all of those things have made that possible. And we invest a lot in how do we reinvent our work and how do we build our software in a way that is agent native. Like one of the things that we really believe is the cost of writing software is going to zero. In that world, first of all, you want to build all your tooling so that agents can write the code and say, the future is awesome, and we can always rebuild it. But let's solve the most important problems now and use coding agents and all those things to solve those problems. So things that
This is funny. App Mafia raises 15 million from A16Z. Education hasn't changed in a century. We are reimagining learning for Gen Z using AI. Our course did 300K revenue on the first day. We are the fastest company in history to hit 100 million ARR. One of my favorite things is reading A16Z decision for investing in certain startups, even though clearly they had a clear reason for investing in them, and it had to do with distribution. Clearly was probably a great bet for them. Cash flow is everything. This is a meme, right? P. Marca on perseverance. If you're going to be a high achiever, you are going to be in lots of situations where you are going to be If you're going to be a high achiever, you're going to be in lots of situations where you're going to be quickly making decisions in the presence of incomplete or incorrect information, under intense time pressure, and often under intense political pressure. You're going to screw up frequently. And the screw-ups will have serious consequences, and you will feel incredibly stupid every time it can't face you. You have to be able to just get right back up and keep on going. That may be the most valuable skill you can ever learn. Make sure you start learning it early. If you're going to be a high achiever, you're going to be in lots of situations where you're going to be quickly making decisions in the presence of incomplete or incorrect information under intense time pressure and often under intense political pressure. You're going to screw up frequently, and the screw-ups will have serious consequences, and you will feel incredibly stupid every time. It can't phase you. You have to be able to just get right back up and keep on going. That may be the most valuable skill you can ever learn. Make sure you start learning it early. Get in your mind, there's no quitting. Expertise isn't inherited. It's earned by iteratively compounding knowledge until you see what nobody else can. That's why you don't quit.
It sounds very simple. The big principle is don't quit. If I give you like one thing.
I think it seems like there's going to be a collab between Zach Pograb and Ben Horowitz or someone. Ben Horowitz and Mark Andreessen. Because now you are pretty much giving the same advice. What you have to do is improve the aesthetics. What you have to do is improve the aesthetics. Get on the same aesthetic level as, you're trying to now get on the same aesthetic level. This is okay, but you gotta get on the same aesthetic level that some of the, let's say, thought leaders who all they do is thought leading. Hey, I'm one of them now. But yeah.
That beats them all is don't quit. And a lot of it sounds very simple, but if you talk to the very, very best entrepreneurs in the world and the very best CEOs who have kind of been through it and gone to the other end, and you say, like, what was the key to your success? What did you do? What was the insight you had and so forth? What they say unbelievably consistently is, I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I stayed in the game long enough until I finally got it right. And particularly in technology, what happens is you go into a market, you know something about it, but you don't know everything about it, and then you spend 5 years in it, and then you know a lot about it. And if you can stay at it and not quit and not sell out and not give up, then your advantage gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you knew it a little better than the rest of the world, and now you know it. Like, you don't know everything about it, and then you spend 5 years in it, and then you know a lot about it. If you can stay at it and not quit and not sell out and not give up, then your advantage gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you do it a little better than the rest of the world, and now you know it way better than the rest of the world. So if there's kind of one thing that I leave you with as a principle, it's if you're going to be an entrepreneur, get in your mind there's no quitting.
Your job is not to build a product. Your job is to solve a problem. Most companies avoid the messy, unsexy work, but that's usually where the biggest opportunities are left to the work others want.
Awareness, I think it inspired Alex in many ways, Scale. So the reason I joined Scale, the reason I thought it was such an interesting opportunity, is Scale is the overlap of AI expertise and Schlepp blindness. And Paul Graham wrote this about Schlepp blindness. I think it inspired Alex in many ways. Scale does the dirty work on data, and I really thought that we could bring that same ideology to this forward deployed motion, which is that sometimes you do need to do the stuff that doesn't feel like you're building on the frontier AI. And I think this is critical. Like, your job is not to build a product, your job is to solve a problem. And that is what enterprise are going to expect. That is what's going to unlock 10x bigger contracts with them. So the reason I joined Scale,
Very interesting. GPT wrapper was meant as a derogatory term, but it completely misses the point. Nobody called software on the cloud a cloud wrapper. These models are an evolution in infrastructure, and there's tremendous opportunity to add value above the stack. We thought agents would map to existing workflows, but Box CEO Levy sees the reverse. Entire jobs and processes are already bending around agents. When is the moment when we conform to how agents are best used?
Patterns emerge, so when does the style of work change because of the tool versus the tool sort of adapted to the style of work? And so what I'm starting, we're like only in day one of this, but what I'm starting to see kind of some patterns emerge, which is we thought agents would go and learn how we work and then automate that. And the question, and so basically agents conform to how we work. The question is, when is the moment when we conform to how agents are best used? And you're seeing this in a couple areas. So you're seeing this in engineering to start with, which is like people are saying, okay, I'm going to have agents and then sub-agents for parts of the code base, and I'm going to give them kind of README files that the agents read, and then I'm going to actually optimize my code base for the agent as opposed to the other way around. In other forms of knowledge work, so within how we use Box, with our AI product, like you're starting to see people like basically tell the agent like its complete job, and the workflow is now starting to be almost like the agent is almost dictating the workflow in the future as opposed to it's just mapping to the existing workflow. So
very interesting. Becky McCormick, let's go. He's back. Underrated lesson in industrial tech, IP transfer, geopolitical supply chains, useful for deep tech thesis. Deep tech thesis. Have you linked the right one? No. Black City messed up. All right. I think we can update the shortcut. to say ensure to add link to each post. Ensure to add the link to each post. And just want to make sure it actually works. We'll just put it over here. Okay, Becky McCormick. Where is it? I think it's this one, but we'll just see what he's up to. The world is going to keep getting better because people are going to keep making it better. Yes. Huge congrats to my friends Kelsey and Taylor Swift on their engagement. Had Travis on my fantasy team, big Jason fan. Taylor went to sailing camp, the next beach town over from me growing up, but we never met. Is this it? This and many other stories about how the modern electric world was built in the electric slide. Of all the stories in electric slide, the one about discovery and formula for neodymium magnets is the best. How GM sold NdFeB, so neodymium ion boron magnets to Deng Xiaoping's son-in-laws for 70 million. Who is Deng? Who is he? Two scientists. Paramount leader. Widely credited with launching China's reform and opening era. Centrally planned economy toward market-oriented reforms established. Special economic zones oversaw rapid industrialization and global integration, though never holding all top formal titles. He was China's de facto top decision maker. The post-year being references his famous line about rare earths and notes that two of his son-in-law were involved in acquiring GM's Magnekench, a key NdFeB magnet business. Okay. Two scientists crowed at GM in the US, Sagawa at Sumitomo in Japan, independently discovered that NdFeB makes a killer magnet through two different processes. Unbeknownst to each other, they both announced a discovery at the same magnet conference in Pittsburgh, PA on the same day in 1983. Wow. Two scientists crowed at GM in the US, Sagawa at Sumitomo in Japan, independently discovered that NdFeB makes a killer magnet through two different processes. They both announced a discovery at the same magnet conference in Pittsburgh, PA on the same day. Patent battle ensues. They decide to cross-license because their different processes result in magnets with different characteristics in use. Sagawa's sintered magnets were stronger, brittle, and hard to manufacture into specific shapes. Crow's bonded magnets were weaker but easier to manufacture and injection mold into pretty much any shape. Turns out the first product to really take advantage, the hard disk drive needed both. Crow's for the spindle motor, Sagawa's for the voice coil motor. Also, the NdFeB magnets enable the 3.5-inch hard disk drive, which Clayton Christensen. Wow, this is so beautiful. The first thing we started was with me trying to figure exactly that. Clayton Christensen's Innovator's Dilemma. Not Innovator's Dilemma, but something, the other one. I don't know. But that's the person I was trying to look into. This is so beautiful. We started our thing, but I'm like, no, it's not Michael Porter. It's Clayton Christensen. It's CC. Okay, we got it. Wow, beautiful. This is beautiful. Yeah, we found it. Clayton Christensen. Hey, Destiny. This is Destiny. Packy McCormick. We had to come to Packy McCormick because we had to figure out who the name that I was forgetting. Clayton Christensen. All those products started getting smaller, better motors with NdFeB magnets, laptops, headphones, microphones, power tools, RC cars, you name it. In 92, Deng Xiaoping says the Middle East has oil, China will have rare earths. Looking to de-diversify, GM's Roger Smith sells off its magnets division, Magnekench, for 70 million to two Chinese companies, each run by one of Deng Xiaoping's son-in-laws. Roger Smith sells off its magnets division, Magnekench, for 70 million. Cepheus waves it through as long as the acquirer keeps equipment and jobs in the US for at least 5 years. It does, while setting up a factory in Tianjin using the new IP. The second 5 years are up. They close up shop in US. Today, China makes 90% of the world's ND-FEV magnets. Products, neodymium magnets. Products unlocked by cheaper and stronger neodymium magnets. Wow. In 1990, 2000, 2010. Fortune, can GM manage it all? Making the compact disc the king of audio. Beautiful. Nano banana is chef's kiss. Electric slide. How did I miss this? I mean, usually you're pretty good at research. Just embarrassing, especially for the piece I did the most research for. Doing the electric slide. Really cool. Really cool. Really cool. Sells off his Magnus division Magnequench to 2 Chinese companies. Each run. How do you sell one company to 2 Chinese companies? Interesting. Very interesting. Right here. Right here. Right here. Yes, yes. Disruptive technology should be framed as a marketing challenge, not a technological one. Marketing challenge. Involves proven technologies arranged in new ways, creating products with novel attributes, often initially appealing to smaller, overlooked customer segments. Improve rapidly, and by the time they match mainstream expectations, new entrants are moving faster and incumbents can catch up. Disk drives, steam shovels versus hydraulic backhoes, mainframes versus PCs, and consumer electronics. Disruption occurs not because of lack of innovation, but because larger companies' processes, values, and focus on mainstream customers lead them to neglect new, smaller markets with unconventional needs. Incumbents do the right thing, listen to customers, invest in proven technology, and seek growth with large markets. But these habits make them blind to emerging disruptive trends that seem unprofitable or irrelevant at first. Disruptors, unencumbered by legacy demands, iterate quickly and often, finding product market fit with new customer segments and scaling up when technology catches up to broader market needs. So cool. Yes, Clayton Christensen. Let's go. Look at him. He looks like someone who thinks about strategy all the time. Boom. Companies should develop disruptive technologies in autonomous, nimble divisions targeting new market segments, not just their current customer base. Spin-outs, acquisitions, or separate organizations often succeed because they can adopt entirely new processes and values needed for disruptive success. Tolerate early failures, align incentives for risk-taking, allocate resources deliberately to support breakthrough opportunities. Really cool. All right. It's still doing it. Ensure to add the link to each post. Add the link to each post. Okay. Makes sense. Where are we at? Becky McCormick. Space pseudo highlighting Bill Riley. Pulls attention to less known core builders behind headline founders. Good for understanding org strength and execution. OG SpaceX engineer Bill Riley. Bill joined SpaceX in 2010 during Falcon 9's development, starting in structures engineering. Over the 9 years, he's held multiple key positions, playing a major role in improving Falcon 9's reliability. He was promoted to VP of Starship Engineering, where he now leads the engineering effort on Starship. He's one of the key people at the company. Sean McGuire. Formula SAE, Design Event Chief Judge. Whoa, look at him. Wow, look at this. Look at this. Close up. Jenny, spaceflight photographer and content manager. Okay. So all you're doing is putting sick photos and these get views. Attempt to. Wait, is she working at Star? Space flight photographer and content manager. Counting down. Wow, wow, beautiful photos. Space cluster. Falcon 9 all burned down. Being transported back to Hangar X following its 21st flight. Whoa, what is this? Oh, he's removing his suit. Suiting up, no, wearing his suit. Undocking from the International Space Station for the return to how to put on a space suit in space. Inspiration 4. Really cool. Space cluster. Hey, really sick logo. The story of space exploration through films, articles, and utility apps founded by A24. In Brooklyn, I met a senior engineer. I think the head of engineering at A24, and we had a very funny conversation. Grand Army. Really cool.
Cluster is your best place to stay up to speed on space and understand space like never before. For example, here's a black hole explained in 15 seconds. Everything in the universe with mass has gravity, even an apple. Cram lots of apples together, you get lots of gravity. And if all that stuff is in a tiny space, eventually you get maximum gravity. Nothing can escape maximum gravity. Not even light. That's a black hole. And this is super cluster. Hey, hi, hello. These people collaborate in lots of different places. Grand Army, A24, Dropbox. These people love space. Because space inspires wonder. Awe. Adventure. It challenges us in mind, body, and spirit. To break boundaries and then to take a real look at ourselves and play the unknown. Space is amazing. Space is for everyone. Space inspires humanity's greatest story. This is Supercluster. Welcome to your greatest story.
Supercluster. First content almost sold out. Sky-Fi. Good morning from Starbase. Let's run it back. Okay, really cool. All right. Just equal open contribution framing. Clear on-ramps for builders across roles in on-chain ecosystems, practical distribution, and participation advice. I think it's going to be hard to find. By the way, let's look at it. Google DeepMind. Have you linked the right post? Yes. Okay, so hopefully this should work now. Google Gemini app. Yes, it's working. I am Marina Nano Banana. Let's go. No, what did you do? This is not I Marina, yeah. This is Anthropic. Is it the one you're talking about? No, you're not talking about this one. This is the Anthropic one. How educators actually... Okay. Claude, GitHub integration, GA, global, what do we call it? Global, general availability, sorry. Akash, where's the link, bro? Prototyping cause collapse. Semi-analysis, where's the link? You're messing up. Why is it messing up? GitHub, Google developers. Aaron Levy. More compute, more output for knowledge work. Bruh. You took Aaron Levy and you're linked to Will Manidis. If you talk to any serious hiker, they are like, yes, demons are real. Make sure you don't walk along a stream for too long. Sometimes a witch trails me for miles, avoid wearing bright colors and pray being entering the forest. The ancient is still very much alive along the edges. Riley Brown. Claude Code can build basically anything. I am a wipe coder. That is cool. I'm a wipe coder, co-founder and chief wipe lord of Wipe Code app. I play poker and I make videos using Git to save your work. Atio, Unit, Arthi Helium. Bro, you're messed up. You're messed up. Jesse Pollock. I just went live on Build on Base sharing why I believe creators are the bridge to billion users on chain. The creator economy is the economy. Just as every company is becoming a media company, every creator is building a business and brand too. Content creation is about opportunity, not just expression. That's why Gen Z's favorite career path is now being a content creator. On chain democratizes value capture and ownership as AI democratizes content creation, and social democratizes distribution. On chain is the third enabling technology that will reinvent the creator economy. We need the same value accrual flywheel that creator content coins have on Zora for all the memes on Base. How memes post content paired with their meme coin, fully unlocking the value of the work the communities already do. This will be the next big unlock. One key to make this work is building the consumer curator attention, where people actually consume and buy content. What feed are people seeing content on? Lots of work to do. Anyone can contribute to Base and get rewarded for building a new global economy. If you're a founder, launch a startup. If you're an investor, back a startup. Developer, build an app. If you're a creator, post content. If you're a trader, trade coins. If you're an organizer, host a meetup. If you don't know the above, just go and use the apps. Build with us. You'll be glad you did. Let's go, Zen. Head of Global Builders, Base. David So, Build in Public beats accelerators. Technical advice on distribution for early stage crypto apps consistent with your creator operator style. Okay, thank you. Just fix your thing now, Perplexity. You're nice. Build in public, share regular updates, wins, losses, lessons on your journey as much as you can. This beats going through even the best accelerators. Testing catalog, Perplexity, Comet, platform economics for AI. What is this? Perplexity announced Comet Plus, a new standalone subscription which is intended to be equivalent of Apple News. The subscription aims to power a new revenue share program for publishers. Pro and Max will get it automatically first. Oh wow. Users expect interest, actions, answers, content, Comet Plus revenue, compute allocation, participating publishers allocation, participating publishers, user engagement, user agent actions, crawl index. Comet Plus, the equivalent of Apple News Plus for AIs and humans to consume internet content, coming soon. Perplexity plans to pay publishers out of a 42.5 million revenue pool for the news that the AI startup uses to answer queries. This is amazing. This is amazing that they are leading this space right now because there's a lot of content that is just behind the paywalls, and we need to start consuming it. Interesting content is behind paywalls. It should be just paid in micro paid in micropayments based on how relevant that content is and how much it is being used in generating these queries, because now you're operating at a global scale now. So yeah, people can still pay subscription for you, but you want to enter the AI space where the algorithms are looking at your content is readable for your content is readable for the algorithms, and your content is being used to serve users, and if the users find it valuable, they should be able to come back to your content, and AI should also give you micropayments for using your content. So very interesting. I also want to see Arvind Srinivas's latest stuff. Let's see. Does a better job at catching phishing emails than Gmail. Phishing. Wait, what all shortcuts were there? Check, Sprout, Prep Next Meeting, GPT-5, Gemini. There were some others too. Whoa, too fast. Whoa, too fast. Slow down. Yeah, phishing, newsletter, AI news to do, Rome. Okay. Perplexity, gestural nav. Okay, this is cool. Gestural nav, true craftsmanship is rare. This is one of the examples of the highest quality. Redesign over the weekend. A more refined, focused experience. Some of my favorite details. Voice iteration, new interaction, animation for the transition and listening state. Okay. Top apps in India right now. Perplexity at the top. Okay. We have a lot more improvements. Okay, really cool. Mark and recent signal boosting pro tech pack. No, heavy pulp. This is B marker. That's right. Worth it. Hearing loss, particularly for high frequency cells, is common with age, made worse by listening with headphones too loud. Causes neurons in the brain stem to start over responding to other sounds. Protect your hearing. Henson Zhuang. When you are tech bok 2 years from now.
You have said some pretty derogatory things.
Degree from MIT, less than drop out of MIT before graduating, less than drop out of MIT on the first day, less than accepted to MIT but never go for even a day, less than drop out of MIT because AI is going to kill us all. She says AGI will kill everyone before she can graduate. I was concerned I might not be alive to graduate because of AGI. Okay, what is this? Economics in one lesson. Yet it is a misconception to think of the function or result or machines as primarily one of creating jobs. The real result of the machine is to increase production, to raise the standard of living, to increase economic welfare. It is no trick to employ everybody, even or especially in the most primitive economy. Full employment, very full employment, long, weary, back-breaking employment is characteristic of precisely the nations that are most retarded industrially, where full employment already exists. New machines, inventions, and discoveries cannot, until there has been time for an increase in population, bring more employment. They are likely to bring more unemployment, but this time I'm speaking of voluntary and not involuntary unemployment, because people can now afford to work fewer hours while children and overage no longer need to work. What machines do, to repeat, is to bring an increase in production and increase in the standard of living. They may do this in either of two ways. They do it by making goods cheaper for consumers, as in our illustration of the overcoats, or they do it by increasing wages because they increase the productivity of the workers. In other words, they either increase money wages, or by reducing prices, they increase the goods and services that the same money wages will buy. Sometimes they do both. What actually happens will depend in large part upon the monetary policy pursued in a country. But in any case, machines, inventions, and discoveries increase real wages. Very interesting. Yes. François Chollet, Global Supply Chain of NVIDIA Chips. Concise Systems View of AI Hardware Dependencies. François Chollet. He is a Is he at Mistralia? I forgot. Co-founder of. Oh yeah, he's co-founder of Arc Prize, but ND, a new intelligence science lab founded by Mike Noop. Mike Noop is co-founder of Zapier. This is sick. What we see now is like a dim image in a mirror. What we see now is like a dim image in mirror. Live webcast show Starship stint flight test charts.
Technical issues on the
I think Starship, flashing a foot with legs are different variables that we could. The rocket got to refill Tokyo in less than half.
9th flight.
Bill Riley right here.
Launchpad.
Here in Hawthorne. Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Lionquist, and I'm a Starlink business analyst here at SpaceX. Starlink is
Tyler Lionquist.
low Earth.
Generally, semi-manufacturing is a very slow process.
For humans to hear what's going on.
And things like
Learning something as always.
that. SpaceX.
Flight test. Wait, did it actually happen? Did the flight actually... Did it actually fly?
From Earth, stop coming for volumes on Earth.
The second tower at the end of this year.
Come and visit. So, because we're on a public highway, and we're literally by a public beach, you can actually come and see the rocket. You quite close up. I mean, you can drive past it, and you can also look at the factory. And anyone can do this from anywhere in the world to just come and visit and check it out. So I think it's pretty cool that
Just not right now.
Just not right.
Just not right.
Also, not when we're launching because there's some safety issues, but the rocket's often just sitting on the pad without any propellant in it, and then you can just throughout history of both civilization and with a bang or a whimper. But either way, if the critical thing is to get to the point where Mars is self-sustaining and can survive, even if the resupply ships stop coming for any reason, which means that you need to build an entire base of industry on Mars in order for Mars to survive. For example, it's not simply enough to build a chip, like a computer chip factory, but you need the ability to build computer chip factories. So this is going to really take a lot of tonnage. My guess is at least 1 million tons to the surface of Mars, and maybe it takes less than that, but it's going to be a lot. But this is a very exciting future. It's one which will ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life and consciousness, and it's the critical stepping stone to get from this solar system to other star systems, and perhaps go out there and explore, and perhaps we'll encounter alien civilizations that maybe they're alive now, or maybe they enjoyed a period of prosperity for millions of years and also died out millions of years ago. So it's humbling to think of the age universe, according to this model of physics, being approximately 13.8 billion years old. So an incremental million years would be 3 digits past decimal point. And if you look at, say, our civilization and measure our civilization by the first evidence writing, which is about 2,500 years ago, civilization as measured from the first writing is only 1/1,000,000th of Earth's existence.
Or blip.
Yeah. Flash in the pan so far.
Well, we're getting some cool shots rocking out of the pad right now. We tell people like come down to it. It's hard to get like a sense of scale of just how massive this thing is, and we were able to catch somebody working on it a little while ago. And like part of the reason you said we're saying millions of tons, that's kind of why this
I
thing is
think
so
it's
massive.
interesting. You can actually see.
It's really cool that we have this thing because it's like, okay, you can see like this is the interview part where Elon is speaking, so the views are more.
Yeah, I guess we talked a bit about why Starship is the way it is. Like for example, why is half of the ship black and half of it is silver colored? And that's because the bottom half of the ship, the bottom as seen from orbital entry, has a heat shield on it. So the black there is the heat shield, and then the core structure of the rocket is a special alloy of stainless steel, and that's where you see the sort of shiny silver parts are stainless steel. The reason for steel over aluminum is that the heat of atmospheric entry and the heat of the rocket engines is enough to easily melt aluminum, but steel is much more resilient against both ascent heating, but especially the re-entry heating. And you don't have to paint it, which is actually very difficult to paint a large object that's going through cryogenic cycles and have the paint stay on. It's quite challenging.
And so we talked about it. It's massive. It obviously takes a whole lot of energy to make that thing move, and that's where Raptor really starts to come in. Most advanced engine on the planet. Lightsaber.
Oh, that's a lightsaber now. You would get vaporized in an instant if you were standing in front of the Raptor. So yeah, going to a crisp in less than a second. So in order to create a fully reusable orbital rocket, you have to advance the state of the art in every part of the rocket. That means the engines have to be better than any engine ever. The structure is going to be better than any structure ever. You've got to have a means of bringing the rocket back to the launch pad. You've got to have a fully reusable orbital heat shield, and no one's ever made a fully reusable orbital heat shield. The space shuttle, for example, required 9 months of refurbishment between flights. So the space shuttle heat shield would come back essentially partially broken and would require many months of refurbishment in order to fly again. What we're trying to achieve here with Starship is have a heat shield that can be flown immediately. So the ship, both the ship and the booster, will be caught by the tower arms, and the booster will be placed immediately back on the launch stand, and the ship's got to orbit Earth at least once, but then could be back potentially in one orbit, but in most cases several orbits. So the ship would come back several hours later, but then be caught by the arms and placed on top of the booster. You could also have multiple ships ready so that a single booster could service 5 or more ships. So that you could be flying the booster every
NVIDIA chips are manufactured by TSMC, a Taiwanese company. They are created using EUV lithography machines manufactured by ASML, a Dutch company. These machines consist of more than 50% of German parts by value, in particular Zeiss optics. The most interesting fact about this globalized chain. Globalized chain is the number of irreplaceable single points of failure. There's only one company that can make these chips at scale. It runs on equipment that only one company can make, out of parts that only one company can make. The most interesting fact about this globalized chain is the number of irreplaceable single points of failure. There's only one company that can make these chips at scale. It runs on equipment that only one company can make, out of the parts that only one company can make. François Cholet, Nick Cruz Paten. Concrete expansion and scenario hints at near-term autonomy deployment tactics and urban coverage design. Service area, concrete expansion scenario hints. Ben hiring pipeline reality check. Blunt signal on practical developer evaluation projects credentials. Projects were credential useful for hiring collab filters. CTO raindrop. It reminds you of that rap song. Raindrop. Ta-ta. Hey, all I received 1,000 DMs. There's a lot of spam, a lot of awesome folks. Small team working on getting through them as fast as possible. Your patience is super appreciated. I'm going to teach all my new followers they can do things. Wow, Convex dev is nice. Xsearch is so good. Gemini 3. Thanks for feedback. I had interned at SpaceX twice, Google twice, had papers published, lots of fun side projects. Surely you had time for a single internship. Actual experience would be aside from maybe a little side project. Most people are just not good. So many CS graduates with zero career experience, zero side projects. I've never seen anything like it. By the time I graduated college, I had interned at SpaceX twice, Google twice, had papers published, had lots of fun side projects. Surely you had time for a single internship. Application for Raindrop. There's no engineer in San Francisco that would take a job for anywhere close to $80K per year. I spent a few minutes thinking up a wild tweet that will solve my problem. Whenever I have a problem, I spend a few minutes thinking up a viral tweet that will solve my problem. Consistently blown away by their marketing. Solving annoying little puzzles, isn't it? Select all the squares with bicycles. There's a better way to prove you're human. Select all squares with fire hydrants. Select all squares with crosswalk. Select all squares with traffic lights. Wow, this is beautiful. Solving annoying little puzzles, isn't it? So clever. Mia, co-founder of MadApp, A-list podcast host. Yes, we know Mia. I think she has, yeah, so Mia has taken the "it's impossible, let's do it" scene just now. So Mia took the Sydney Sweeney pose and she added her photo. 9,000. Wow. Did you know building a mobile app takes 3x the time of a web app? Me neither. Follow for more. Heard the male equivalent of flowers is a medium rare steak. Can't make this up. Sick. Very unlike captchas. Marta, so good. Thanks. Okay. Répond. Sharon Srivatsa. Decision velocity heuristics. Clean mental model or small versus big decision to improve execution pace aligned with minimalist builder habits. Minimalist builder habits. Oh, Sharon. He's the new guy with, wow, what's his name? Alex Hormozy. You guy with Hexamosi. Alright. Quitting your worst habit will change your life faster than starting your best habit. Stop the leak before you fill the bucket. Persistent people just make more decisions and get better at it. Most people try to eliminate risk. I try to understand it. Risk, you understand, isn't risk, it's opportunity. Wrong. We make decisions faster and adjust quicker when we are wrong. Decision velocity heuristics. I don't know which one he's talking about. There are so many that sounds the same. Sleep on big decisions. I made my best decisions quickly and my worst ones after overthinking. I've made billion-dollar decisions. 70% of the information waiting for certainty means someone else already decided for you. Okay. Durable principle of creator, operator, compounding, good. Good North Star for daily cadence and shipping. Good North Star. Okay, we need to fix this. This is really bad. Why can't Perplexity just add the right link? So stupid. When you feel unworthy, question the voice, not yourself. Wow. Pursue your genuine intellectual curiosity. John Jungfook, pathetic 1 million per year bootstrap says, anti-vanity, pro-profitability ethos. Reminder the sustainable creator-led software can be both simple and big. Whoa, what happened? All right, go. Just working on a pathetic bootstrap 1 million per year SaaS. Wait, how do we know? I've seen this photo before. Banana bear, clip cat. No. I don't know this. I think I've seen this before. Yes, they're really cool. If you're transparent with your MRNX, someone will end up DDoSing you out of jealousy or to extort you. Put your app behind Cloudflare or some other form of protection and do it early on. Block hostile countries at the firewall level, set and forget. DDoS. All my Versal projects. Does anyone know how you can track this? Didn't feel style constraints M-. Okay.